2 days ago, I thought I had my crypto plan nailed. Ride Bitcoin to brand new all-time highs like a surfer catching the perfect wave, and then sleep easy. But last night, scrolling X at 2 a.m, with one eye open and the other kind of hoping for a miracle, I stumbled on a post that felt like a kind of record scratch in the middle of a party. Divest from Bitcoin to XRP before it's too late. Now, that line had kind of penned, or at least was penned, I should say, by 𝗕𝗓𝗪𝗓 Farina, the Alpha Lions Academy guy, who basically is the XRP community's cheer captain. And, folk, right, I couldn't, just kind of thumb past it. My brain went, what? Hold up. That's pretty spicy. So because Bitcoin's kind of shining brighter than the 𝗕𝗪𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘 on National Day right now, smashing discovery mode, right, setting fresh highs every sunrise. Meanwhile, of course, XRP, solid, but still below its own 2018 glory and even this year's local top. So why would anyone ditch digital gold for the digital banker's coin? Curiosity kind of rope climbed my spine, so I just had to dig in. So, picture me pacing my apartment in Dubai, espresso in one hand, phone in the other, mumbling to my cat about market caps. Now, I kept replaying Farina's logic. Bitcoin's up 26% on the year, XRP about 24%, or 24 or so, but he's shouting last chance. That's kind of like a clearance sale that nobody actually asked for, but it is pure hopium, right? Or the kind of early kind of whistles that kind of regrets ironing later, maybe. Now, the challenge here is actually slamming my square into the FOMO. Okay, backstory time. Last October, when XRP kind of, languished at 50 cents or 50 odd cents, Farina told everybody or anybody that would listen with ambition to snag 10,000 tokens. Now, he literally said, every man with ambition should hold at least 10,000 XRP. Now, at that time, right, that sounded like motivational bro fluff shoved in crypto clothing. But fast forward, by November, XRP had broken free and for a month left Bitcoin eating dust. Now, the guy doesn't just tweet, he kind of marks plot twists then. So, you can hook firmly kind of lodged in my lip here. I kind of whipped up a spreadsheet. I tossed in fresh stats. Bitcoin's market cap humming north of $2.3 trillion. To double from here, it would need to find another 2 trillion, basically the GDP of Italy, let's say. XRP, a relatively kind of small $130 billion nets the same 2x. So in other words, XRP's mountain is more like a manageable hill. A marathoner, will summit either way, but, which finish line arrives much sooner. Well, the calculus starts to kind of itch. And yet, there is an emotional knot. Selling Bitcoin kind of feels like selling an heirloom watch. Sure, you can cash in, but you're parting with legacy, an immutable kind of track record, the NGU memes, and, Michael Saylor's never-ending laser eyes. There's comfort in all of that cult, right? An XRP, by comparison, is the scrappy cousin with courtroom scars and a chip on its own shoulder. On down days, it can feel like switching seats from the kind of Titanic's grand staircase to a lifeboat. Only the lifeboat's still attached to the ship. Brave? Or maybe reckless. Now, Farina doesn't just kind of lean on vibes, right? He kind of points to Bitcoin dominance. Now, you can pull up the chart right now if you wanted to. The orange coin's share of the total market cap has slipped 5 percentage points in a couple of weeks. Historically, that slide is the DJ spinning Altseason remixes. Now, money rotates typically, right? Profits harvested from Bitcoin look for the next adrenaline jolt. And guess which altcoin has a history of monster pops and weird resistance and resilience? Yep, that's good old XRP. Now, I remembered 2017 like it was a hazy fever dream. I ignored XRP at 25 cents while Bitcoin kind of sprinted to $19,000. By Christmas Eve, XRP was $3 and my forehead was permanently embedded into my desk. Now that sting still lurks under my hoodie. So when Farina says last chance, my PTSD kind of perks up. For me once. Now, I wanted more than just price charts though, right? I looked at the catalysts. First, we have the securities question. The multi-year soap opera with the SEC finally finished its courtroom, finale in April, and the judge's gavel basically unlocks a gateway for the US institutions that have been sidelined sitting there for years, right? Now, second, we have the payments story. Central banks flirting with CBDCs love a ledger that closes cross-border payments within 4 seconds and costs fractions of a penny. Decades-old SWIFT wires can feel like fax machines next to that. And third, the alt-season fuel, right? Social sentiment, crypto, Twitter's a messy carnival after all, but whenever XRP army kind of trends, you can feel the heat. Deep dive done? Well, I brewed a second espresso and I opened Kraken Pro. This is my go-to for surgical trades, of course. Now, here's a quick heads up. The link that's in the description is an affiliate link. So if you do sign up or even level up there, it kind of shoots a tiny little thank you back to this channel and helps me keep the lights on. No pressure, of course, transparency first. Anyway, which kind of charts dancing in dark mode? Well, I hovered over the Sell-BTC button, heart drumming like a Dubai drum line, and I asked myself, is this really the last boarding call, or just a clever marketing jingle? And that is when I heard my Discord ping. Our free educational Discord, the one that you can jump in via the link down below, was buzzing. Now, a member named kind of 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗠𝗠𝗘𝗥𝗦, posted a pretty killer stat. Now, in each of the last 3 altcoin seasons, the coin that kind of lagged Bitcoin the hardest in Q1 became the surprise rock star of Q3. Guess which one is lagging in 2025? Yep, that's XRP. Now, the pattern hit me like a forehead slap. Now, midway through my kind of mental tug of war, I need to hit pause for the boring but absolutely necessary part. And this one, it might just shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. After all, your investments are entirely your responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and today's video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Okay, that is the legal sanity kind of checked off, and we can breathe once again. Let's get back to the action, right? I closed my eyes and remembered October 2024, Farina's 10,000 XRP decree. Now, if I'd listened then, well, that stash would be worth 6 times more today. Instead, I was just too busy throwing confetti at Bitcoin. So imagine parking a Lambo in your garage, but never actually turning the key. Painful, right? But here is the kicker. Unlike meme coin rallies that rely on kind of Porky Pig mascots and questionable TikTok dances, XRP's value pitch actually lives in boring grown-up things. Things that matter: liquidity hubs, institutional remittances, regulatory clarity. So think of it as a reliable kind of freight train compared to Bitcoin's high-speed roller coaster. One blast forward with kind of steady momentum and the other kind of chases adrenaline loops. Now, different thrills, different stomachs. And what about risk? Bitcoin's correlation to legacy markets has inched up lately. After all, it is only stock market money that is driving Bitcoin, right? So when the S&P hiccups, Bitcoin will sneeze. XRP's correlation is a lot lower, almost like the kid who refuses to follow the class field trip itinerary. Now that independence can be a lifesaver when the macro storms brew. Now Farina also kind of loves dunking on 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗦, calling BTC the Titanic. Now that's a bit dramatic, of course, but Bitcoin's iceberg is still a bit of a rumor. But I do see his metaphor, right? Historically, dominance kind of peaks before pivoting, and the bigger the ship, the slower the turn. Meanwhile, of course, the speedboats, that's alts like XRP, can weave through waves much faster. So if capital really is rotating, you don't want to be the last one grabbing a life jacket. But let me kind of share a bit of a reality check, right? I phoned my buddy Sam, the calmest trader that I know, and he said, Nick, don't marry bags. Don't date them, right? Just, use them whilst you need them. Now, the translation here is that partial moves, they beat zero moves, right? So instead of kind of rage selling every single sat, I carved out 15% of my BTC stack, slid it into XRP, and watched how it fell. Instant relief, right? My core Bitcoin conviction stayed intact, but now I had a little ticket to the possible XRP fireworks show. Skin in the game, but not my entire, epidermis. Within hours, the chart gods rewarded my audacity, right? XRP had popped 3% while Bitcoin kind of cooled off. Tiny move, sure, but it kind of felt like a cosmic nod. Am I claiming, profit genius level kind of stuff? Heck no. But a random bit of noise, right? Could be. But now that incremental green kind of reassured the plan a little bit. So side note, if you're curious about how that trade unfolded in real time, you probably want to swing by the free Discord. I dropped screenshots, limit orders, and a spicy meme of Farina as a lifeguard yelling Altseason ahead. Now, the community obviously tore it up instantly, sharing those kind of micro journeys, kind of keep ups, sharp and accountable, of course. Later that night, I kind of zoomed out to weekly candles and I saw something chilling, right? Each Bitcoin discovery sprint had historically been followed by a 30 to 40% lull as capital rotates. Meanwhile, XRP's biggest rallies often kind of ignite right after Bitcoin exhales. So it's kind of like Bitcoin's climbs Everest, kind of plants a flag, then XRP kind of swishes up in a helicopter tour, selling front row seats to FOMO. Now, could that pattern play out again? No guarantee, but history does like to rhyme from time to time, like Dr. Seuss. Still, you gotta respect Bitcoin's macro aurora, nation states adoption, spot ETFs, ESG narratives, pivoting as miners switch to kind of flared gas rigs, and these kind of tailwinds, they aren't fables, right? Betting against Bitcoin for good is like betting against the internet in 1999, right? Even Farina, beneath the memes, probably owns some Satoshis. But, his alarm bell is about opportunity cost, not, existential kind of doom. So, where do I land? It's actually quite simple. I treat BTC as the savings account and XRP as the kind of venture bet with asymmetric upside. BTC could 2x and, make me smile, sure. XRP could 5x and have me grinning like a kid with free lifetime ice cream. Right? Risk profiles, they differ, of course, and allocations should as well. And yes, I know someone will ask, why not Solana, AVAX, or Pepe? And it's because this episode's spotlight is XRP, my friend, right? The narrative energy here is here right now, right? XRP thrives on musical chairs and attention, right? Today, the DJ is spinning XRP remixes. Tomorrow, sure, it might be some Dogecoin polka dot thing, right? Ride what's playing. But, you want to be keeping your exit strategy taped to your monitor so that you can pivot as needed. One more kind of quick transparency nod then. When I mentioned Kraken Pro, remember the link below is an affiliate link. If you use it, Kraken Pro on Kraken itself will kick back a sliver of the fees back to us to support the channel, funding the coffee refills, the charting software, and my unhealthy GIF addiction. It costs you nothing extra, by the way, but the regular kind of overlords, of course, they want us to kind of have crystal clear, guidelines here. So hopefully everyone understands what an affiliate link is. Okay, breathe. We've explored fear, greed, spreadsheets, Twitter wars, courtroom dramas, and personal trauma. Let's land the plane, right? The headline, last chance to swap BTC to XRP, is obviously, provocative, maybe even click-inducing. But it kind of forces us to evaluate rotating profits, analyzing dominance, and zooming out on the risk-reward ratios. If you walk away with anything today, let it be this: portfolios are not set and forget. They are living organisms, craving periodic kind of checkups, right? And don't just wait for Reddit to kind of diagnose your kind of, gangrene, if you will. My game plan for the next quarter is pretty crystal, right? Monitor Bitcoin dominance, ride the early XRP momentum, right? Trail stop losses tighter than skinny jeans. And should XRP break above that stubborn yearly high around $3.40, consider adding, right? If it fizzles, then I just rotate backwards. No shame, right? Flexibility beats stubbornness every market cycle. And hey, if you want to have the kind of blow-by-blow journey, then pop into our free educational Discord via the link that's down below. The community will either applaud, the genius, or, lovingly roast everything. It's my complete car crash and wreckage, right? Either way, you're going to learn something. And finally, why don't you smash that subscribe button so that the YouTube algorithm knows that you're hungry for more first-person crypto adventures. And if your finger's still itchy, the next video is queued up and waiting for you. I'll catch you there.